What's up, everybody? I'm Charlie Romo, and you're watching the Italian American Podcast.
See that you're born an Italian if you want your life to be great. See that you're born an Italiano and your life will be great.
How about some Darin?
That's a nice.
Hey there, Paisani, and welcome back to another episode of the Italian American Podcast. I'm John Viola, along with the notorious POB, Patrick O'Boyle, here at the corner of Mulberry and Grand, Red Sauce Studios, the heart of Little Italy. This is the crossroads of Italian America, and we got a great episode of the Italian American Podcast coming up today. Make sure to like and subscribe and do all those things you're supposed to do to help us grow this wonderful Italian platform. We could not do it without you, so thanks for watching, and we hope you're going to enjoy an interview that I'm looking very much forward to. It's a kindred spirit, if you will, a young man who was here on his 29th birthday, as a matter of fact. So how about that devotion?
What better way to celebrate
right?
the year of your summit of your 20s than with us?
That's absolutely right, yes.
Wow.
You're
What a
ringing
wise
in
choice,
the
wise,
tail end of your 20s
wise.
with two cranky old Italian people. Hey, wonderful. The Statler and Waldorf of Italian America. And he
We
probably
need to
doesn't
watch
even get
grass
that
grow.
reference.
I wouldn't have it any other
We
way.
need to sit out there with the beach chair and the
we do.
hose and just watch,
on the stoop.
complain.
Yeah, exactly. And we haven't been together for a little while
You
now.
abandoned me.
I know. I've been
I mean, I know
out.
you had a baby.
Yes, we did have a baby.
But, you know, we could have gotten one week, for 2 hours, we could have come in.
I know.
But you left me here alone. I think you do that. You want to see...
I like
when
to
I can't,
just
when I
push you.
can't roll
Yeah.
by myself, like, John, coming out.
No, you would never. In a million years, you would never call for help.
No, it's
did.
much better when you come.
Yeah, no, I know.
'Cause
We're
we
better
work
together.
better off.
I know. That's true. But
Not that we don't work with other people, but there's like we have a
rapport.
a rapport.
Yeah,
a
chemistry.
rapport.
Yeah,
That sounds so nice. Rapport.
Emery called it my paternity leave. That really blew my mind because I never.
She loves those corporate
She
words.
does. She's very HR.
They're having
yeah.
paternity leave,
I
and
didn't think of just
even though you own the place, she's going to give you terms like you have 6 weeks and 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays
It's
are
hard
half
to come
day.
back. I got to be honest. It's hard to. It's hard to.
It's not like we're in a coal mine.
No, I know. Thank God. I know. We work in the next morning, but yeah, it's so wild. You know, it's like
Why is it hard to be back?
because you get in like a zone, like especially the baby comes and like you're home and you're in that like, it's very nesty, you know, and you know, with the two kids, it's a little bit more hectic than it was with just Gia, and yeah, you just like you do shut out everything else. You know me, I don't ever shut out everything else. But I really have. I've just gone under and not thought about stuff, and so this is what I've been doing. And
You are the devoted dad. God bless you.
yeah, I'd like.
You are professional. I mean, like in a serious.
I love it. I wish I had more kids and done it earlier, and it's the greatest joy I've ever had. And but yeah, you just go into a different world. You know, I've been like playing with Gia lots. I've been thinking about her dollhouse.
Because she's at a stage now where you can really interact.
Oh, it's amazing the stuff you can. And I'm trying to, you know, she grew up with just Italian, and now she's only talking English in school, and it's like she's avoiding Italian just to aggravate me, and I can't break her. I'm trying to break her. We're looking at like
I don't think she's going to be breakable.
she's unbreakable. She's like my wife. She's
She's tough cooking.
yeah. So she really like at 3.5, I have to validate why she should be speaking Italian, and then I am yelling at her in Italian like you got to speak Italian. And my Italian's not so good, right? Not as good as my wife's. And I'm like, you know, this is important. This is why in Italian. And she looks at me in English and she goes, "But you can't do it."
Wow!
Where am I going to go from here?
Smack
Right?
in the
Like-
face that's fantastic.
Isn't that great?
You got to remember that for when she's a teenager.
I do have to write that down. Yeah,
That's
now
a,
it's-
that's a
now it's
wedding
on-
comment.
Isn't that great? Yeah, you can't do it. 3.5 years old. I'm like, what? Where am I going to go from here?
That's why it's all worth it.
it is why it's.
That's all the
yeah.
investment.
It's very exciting. I'm really enjoying it. Now we have a little son, so it's good to be back though.
How's she interacting with you? Because I mean, I often think intellectually, how is she processing it?
She really loves family. Like she loves her cousins, and you know, we make a conscious choice to move near my brother, my wife's brother, and so at first she was all excited. Then he came home. It was a little weird for like 24 hours, but now she's all over it. She's like, my baby brother this, and we're gonna do this, and then when am I gonna get a baby sister named Elsa? Because she watches Frozen. That's what she really wanted was baby sister named Elsa. And yeah, she's really enjoying it, and we're in like a good. Thank God, we're in a really good state in the house, and everybody's been enjoying it. So nice to have people coming. I hope you'll come up and see the kid. I would love you to come.
Well, I don't. You have to invite me because
Please, anytime.
The reason I say it is now you can't just show up to see kids anymore.
No, in my house you can. You can knock.
Because these doctors, you have to have all. That's why I don't say anything. Well, you can't see. Because 2 people I know who had babies recently. Well, you can't really see the baby because the doctor said because the last thing
they're insane.
So
I was on. They had put me on the floor when I was an infant. Like my mom was telling me when I was born 41 years ago, I was in a wooden crib that my grandfather made, and like 6 days later, 5 days later, my dad's college roommate and his wife were in the 1-bedroom apartment. Like we were all sleeping together. Like nobody thought of this stuff, and now you're in like a bubble.
I can't understand it because they're so paranoid now with exposure to stuff to like build immunity. Like all these studies they've done, kids who grow up on farms. They study kids who grow up on farms. The ones who have the super immunity are not the ones who grew up on farms. It's the ones who grew up on farms with livestock.
Of course.
It's the engagement with the livestock that builds the immunity.
Makes sense, yeah. It's all.
But you can't say this. You're going to yell at. Someone's going to write us, a pediatrician, that we're spreading fake information. All these people had babies. They survived.
Yeah, speaking of writing about fake information, I'm thinking about you early on when you first met Rosella. You wrote her about making sausage, right? Canning.
Botulism.
Botulism.
Correct.
So I'm watching a video. If you're out there, I don't think she watches the show, but Nicolette from Chicago, from Avanti Group, who's a great friend of the show, I guess she was with her family. I was watching it on silent. They are eating the sausage meat from the raw sausage. And she's asking her grandmother and her father, like, is this okay? Can you do this? Like, yeah, you could do it. And they're all eating it. And I'm like, I have to send this to Pat because I'm waiting for, like, you. That's, like, right up your alley. But, yeah, that's what they were doing. I've never seen that. Have you seen that? Can you eat raw pork?
All the Italian people I know who test before they stuff will fry it first.
I've never heard of anybody eating raw pork. Is that like a thing somewhere?
No, I mean pork is. Trichinosis. I think.
Trichinosis.
We've gotten pork now on big industrial farms. Like we're able to do a lot of care, and I am no agricultural expert. Before somebody writes an email, no, thank you. I'm not an agricultural, but I read this stuff a lot. Like the way we raise cows now and pigs and all the other animals, a lot of the stuff that occurred naturally, that would have affected would have harmed humans. Yeah. We've been able to mitigate because of practices. Like
you got to be careful. It's certainly true. Nothing is as simple as it used to be.
Wait a minute. You opened up exactly the door I want to go down.
Good.
What do I have in my pocket? I want to apologize.
Oh, you got homemade S cookies.
My S cookies. I did not make these S cookies. As I told you when I came in, listeners who became friends. Because I have many listener friends and I forget they were listeners. I'm like, how do I know you? I know you from the podcast,
True.
Right? Which is the greatest sign of our success. More than
if you're a new listener and you want Pat to be a friend, just write him. He will be your friend. He's here. Yeah.
And one of our started out as listeners, became friends, invited me and a group of my friends who they met through me to their house on Long Island, and I had Frank and Elizabeth Dosty. The meal was outstanding. It was outstanding.
You said it's like one of the best meals you've had.
It was fantastic. Frank did all this. Elizabeth, God bless you, you did well. You married well. Frank did the Sicilian baked anelletti. It was as good as anything you're going to have in Sicily. He's from Partinico. He's from Detroit. Anything as good as you're going to have in Sicily. He made panella, fried in beef tallow.
My favorite.
The panella was outstanding. As good as anything I've had in any restaurant in the United States.
It's not easy to make, actually.
Not easy to make. He made these Sicilian steaks. They're all Sicilian words.
Amodiga?
I don't know.
With the breadcrumbs?
Something with a breadcrumb. It's like a braciole.
Yeah.
It's a braciole cut, fried with breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
And then over it, you could put this raw tomato sauce. So it's like raw tomatoes, garlic. I forget what was in it as the condiment. So you had the bread that goes with that if you want to make a sandwich. And he had melted cheese on top. But as well, you could put fresh ricotta on it. He made the ricotta himself.
You want to get to this guy's heart? Give him the VIP meal treatment.
That's all. You could
and he made you S cookies.
The cookies. We went home with bomboniera. We all got plate steak home. His tiramisu was outstanding.
Really?
It was outstanding. I didn't ask. There had to be egg in it. There had to be the beat up egg, because it was fantastic. It was so creamy. It was fantastic. But I think I have never had a better cookie than this.
Really?
Yes, that is why I have brought this in, because His wife made the cookies from his mother's recipe. I'm a food. If they had food science, I hated science in high school.
No, you've
been
been great at this.
But I had no interest in planets. I was like, they're not gonna. But if they had food science in high
How
school,
to rise an S cookie.
I would have gotten a medal in that because, because I mean, people just take flour for granted.
Yeah.
Flour is very complicated,
Yeah.
right? There's all different kinds of protein and gluten and how it's worked and stuff like that. And it's so easy to screw up with baking.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't go to school for it, right?
It's chemistry.
It's chemistry. It's really serious chemistry. And I said to myself, there's an Italian-American, I would call it the ubiquitous cookie that takes different names in different places. People call it Angenetti cookie or this cookie.
Lemon drop or this or that.
One day when we do our educational series, I will do the history of this cookie. Because you know that. I've spent a lifetime.
You've done, I think on some of these, you've given a pretty good...
But I've never had
Yeah.
the board
No, you need
and
that,
the pointer.
yeah. Yes.
And I evolved from the giant doll of the Romans.
Yes.
Right?
Into
to,
this.
to what came to this. But then with the other cookie that evolved was the fat was we got that because in Italy they were a drier cookie. Anyway. These were so good. I want bringing them in. You know, Frank has never missed an episode.
Oh, thank you, Frank. That's much
Never missed an
appreciated.
episode. I would say things. Oh yeah, I saw that. He said I've never missed an episode.
That means a lot. Thank you.
We
Frank.
have the gold standard. See,
get great
a lot of
listeners.
jealous, horrible people. I never used that before because Sean and I got a little buffed the other day.
Got a couple of
lot of
emails.
people.
Yeah.
They envy us for the wrong things. They don't envy us for you because we have the gold standard of viewers.
That's true.
We have the PBS level
Yeah.
of Italian American listeners.
Yeah,
right?
I love meeting our
Correct.
listeners. And
We have the best.
yeah, I'm
And
not
you
giving out
can't-
my cell phone number like Pat is, but this is what he's expertise.
I'll
is
call
in.
to
I mean,
anybody. I'll go to
he's-
your house. I'll eat. I mean, I have no. What I'm saying is, we have the best. We have the best.
we lucky.
And the people who rip on us
Yeah.
would never have them. They
true.
couldn't have 1% of what
That
we
is
have.
very true.
We have the army of excellence.
That's true.
Right? Because we attract the best of the best. And how do I know it? Because I had this cookie. I would send this cookie to the Smithsonian. I was so determined to bring this in because I want to make sure you have this at the peak of freshness.
Oh, this is for me. You're gonna share.
Why not? I brought in to share.
thank you.
I'm rationing these
I
cookies.
was gonna say, this is-
These were ration cookies.
Yes, many times you have not shared. Thank you. Let me say.
Oh. Am I wrong?
That's unbelievable.
They're good.
There's something in there that's unbelievable.
I got Frank. You got to spill those.
Yeah, we may have to get the
Yeah,
recipe.
yeah.
I've had two amazing cookies doing this show. That, and don't get mad at me, but when Scott and Angie brought in the Pignoli cookies.
Oh, well, I mean, it's not my fault.
I know, but those were, they brought the Pignoli cookies from their restaurant. They saw the sign on the door, no Pignoli cookies in the studio. So they brought them out, and I got to try them alone, and I hid them, and I ate them all. It was just like, so that's up there. That is right. We could start a cookie collection here.
Elizabeth, if Frank doesn't want the family secret out, you could tell us. We'll pay you.
We'll take it.
Listen, it's not your family. You don't have to worry about
There's
it.
nothing like that. That's a good taste of home. Thank you, Frank. And Elizabeth.
Frank, you can't improve on this.
Yeah, that was really.
Because I go in there in my mind, I was like, this is when, what's his name? Alexander sat on the hill and there was no more.
No more land to conquer.
Thank you
no
for
more
dinner.
cookies to conquer. Thank you for dinner.
Fantastic. I wish you guys are the best.
We are very lucky people. We got great flavors. We've got great talent, great style, and we have great sound. And I think on that line, I think along those lines, we have an incredible sound here with us today. This young man, like I said earlier, decided to spend his 29th birthday with us. I don't know if that says good things about you or you need to get your head examined.
Wouldn't
but
have it any other way.
We're happy to have you here. Charlie Romo, you are really well liked. Let me put it that way. Everybody I've ever talked to, we haven't had the opportunity to meet until today.
Right.
But I've heard about you for a long time. Everybody has great things to say about you. And you have a phenomenal personality that you make friends along the way. Thank you for coming to the Italian American Podcast.
It's my pleasure.
Welcome.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm hungry. That's
Yeah,
all
I know. Give me a man cookie. I'm sitting here watching.
No,
I know.
I'm totally fine. I don't want to get any. I don't want to get any cookies.
No,
I will
it's all right. We
definitely
can
take
edit out your teeth. Don't worry.
some for the road. We got a nice dinner reservation after this. My beautiful wife that we can't see behind
We
the
can put
camera.
a picture.
Listen.
You send. My wife would kill me. So send your favorite picture and.
Oh
we'll
yeah,
run it
sure.
right
We'll take
there.
our favorite
Yeah.
wedding picture.
Exactly.
We'll put it right
Well,
on
it's
the,
the funny thing.
the
That's
screen.
it's cool you should say that your wife is there because a lot of times we have people sitting and nobody knows that.
Yeah, that's right.
We do have a quasi-studio audience because Italians
Yeah.
never travel
Today we
alone.
do. Today we do.
Everybody brings somebody,
Yeah.
a spouse,
Absolutely.
the mother,
Yeah.
No one. I've never had an Italian person walk in. Maybe 3 people ever walked in
Yeah,
there alone.
it's very true.
Without a hole.
That's why we have the chairs waiting. Yeah, it's very true.
Well,
This
happy
is-
to have my girl with me today and happy to be here on the show, guys. Thank
That's
you so
awesome.
much for having me. And thank you for those kind words. I've heard such great things about the show, about you guys. And like I said, there's no better way to celebrate my 29th than sitting here at this table in this beautiful studio. We got Frank and Dean here.
Yeah, it's good, right? The icons of your line of work here. So you're a
Absolutely.
crooner, right?
Yes.
That's the
Correct. Contemporary crooner.
Yeah.
Contemporary crooner by night. High school teacher for the New York City Department
That's
of Education by day. But definitely keeping that music alive in the crooner style,
I
like
got-
Frank and Dean, Bobby Darin.
I got to ask you the $1 million
Yeah,
question
yeah, go
before I
ahead.
take another bite of this cookie.
Absolutely.
Do your students have any idea? Because I'm in education, you know that. Do they
Yes.
like, what's a crooner?
Right,
So
right.
you educating them on what you're actually singing?
Absolutely. My students, they are so interested in this other life that I have. I feel like Hannah Montana, like 2 separate lives, you know? And that's one of the things that I think is coolest about what I do, that I get to actually show my students that there's more to me than just being, your boring government or economics teacher or global history teacher, I'm somebody who's very passionate about many different things in my life, but that whole other career that I have, they're so interested in, and they're constantly asking me questions about Mr. P. My real last name is Romo. I go by Romo for the stage. Povere uomo, poor man,
that's awesome.
poor man, poor me. But Romo is the stage name, Charlie Romo, and they are very interested in who Charlie Romo is once that bell hits at 3:00.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like what was it? The Parks and Rec, the guy who runs Parks and Rec, Ron Swanson's got the
Yes.
secret identity, and
Exactly,
You
exactly.
can also have a kind of.
I like to think of more as like Clark Kent or something.
Yes,
but,
exactly.
Like,
Clark Kent. Well said. That's
Clark
really
Kent,
great.
take the glasses off.
You teach history.
I do. I'm a history teacher, social studies. So I teach 9th grade global history to 14 and 15-year-olds. We talk about everything from Mesopotamia to the Enlightenment,
That's
the Roman
wonderful.
Empire, Greece, all that fun stuff.
Isn't it sad you got to jam all that stuff into 1 year?
I know, it's
That's
hard.
what we've been
It's
reduced
hard.
to in our curriculum.
It's hard.
Crazy.
The good thing is at least there's no Regents exam at the end of the year for the freshmen, so I get to kind of dive in a little deeper to the
Okay.
fun stuff. Like
We have listeners all around the world. Canada, Australia.
Yes, true.
Explain to them what a
okay.
Regents exam is.
So a Regents exam is basically a state test that students have to take, that high school students have to take. It's a cumulative
York.
exam
In
that
New York.
here in New York, and I think some other states around the country as well. But New York is one of the only states in the country that requires high school students to take these tests in order to fulfill a graduation requirement. So luckily, my students in 9th grade don't take the global history exam until the end of their sophomore year. So I get to dive in a little deeper to the fun stuff that
That's
they really
nice.
enjoy. We just actually, one lesson that's coming to mind, we just did the Black Death, the plague.
Oh, great.
So who doesn't like talking about, black fingers and toes and,
Now you teach your
and
kids
all
post
stuff
COVID.
like
I
that.
imagine it's like a
Oh,
little
yeah.
easier to teach an example of this
Yes.
is what happens.
So we will make a lot of connections to COVID and other topics. But I love both my careers, and my students are definitely very interested in what I do, especially as of recently with all the exciting stuff I've had.
Yeah,
going
we're going
on,
to talk
you
about
know?
what you've been up to. I want to ask you though. So, as you teaching history and singing the great American songbook, the Italian American songbook, as I like to call it, because so
Right.
many of us have left impact there.
Absolutely.
Were you always kind of drawn to the past? What drew you into this career? Because it's not every day that a young man who's
Right.
29 is singing this kind of stuff.
Right, and I get that question a lot because, like you said, there's not too many young people doing what I do. But fortunately for me, I was born into an Italian American family in Borough Park, Brooklyn. We were talking a little bit before the cameras went on about our backgrounds, and I shared a little bit with you that I grew up in the same house in Brooklyn, 4 generations, railroad apartments,
Just like us.
real old school
Yeah.
type of stuff.
We're bunker people.
Exactly,
Yeah,
we're bunker
exactly,
people,
yeah.
So I lived
You
there.
go down to the cellar.
Yeah, the whole
and there's
thing.
something from like 1934 down
Exactly,
there.
the metal steps.
Don't touch it, yeah.
The metal steps going down to the basement,
I used to hate
Washboards.
changing fuses. Was like
Yeah,
the scariest.
exactly. Well, I was a little young for changing fuses, but
I would go back for my grandmother. But anyway, keep going.
right. So anyway, I grew up 4 generations in that house, Italian American family. The music was always playing. The crooners, Tony Bennett, Louis Prima, of course, Sinatra and the Rat Pack, and actually one of the styles or genres of music that really got me into singing that era. 3, 4, 5 years old, my grandparents were actually dragging me to doo-wop shows and
Wow.
oldie shows. So I was listening to like Vito Pacone, the Elegance, who does the Feast every now and then. Dion and the Belmonts, the Five Satins, all these great groups, you know. And doo-wop is probably the style of music that actually exposed me to the 50s of 60s. My grandfather, love him to death. He's my best friend. He used to drag me to these doo-wop shows at Bishop Ford High School, you know, 4 and 5 years old. And my cousins, my brother, you know, they would come and they would, you know, oblige and listen to Poppy, as we call him. But I was like a sponge, man. Like, I just loved those songs. I must have been a sentimental kid or something. I don't know. But I loved the lyrics, you know. I just told this story in a show on Saturday night. My father, I remember this story when I was a kid. My father asked what my favorite song was when I was like maybe 5 or 6 years old. And I thought about it for a second. I said, Tears on My Pillow by Frankie Lyman. And he's laughing at me. He goes,
that's a beautiful
song. Why is this your favorite song? It's like a breakup song, you know, 50s breakup song. I remember him laughing hysterically at me. But that's just who I was from a little kid.
That's really deep when you think about it, because if you take, like, what has the United States contributed? Right? Like,
yes.
We start with ragtime.
Right.
I would say that's probably the only, like, maybe I'm wrong with that, but that's like a really, but you don't think ragtime would be an intrinsically American?
Yeah, I mean, but jazz. Everybody, I think most
really jazz.
people would say it's jazz.
Ragtime,
right?
jazz, absolutely.
Ragtime comes out of jazz.
Correct.
Would you say ragtime and jazz are the same?
I think it's a branch.
They're correlated, but if you're going to put it all under one umbrella, I would definitely say.
So all right, so if you want
jazz.
to put them under one umbrella, so you say ragtime is the precursor of jazz, right? And you take jazz into the.
I don't know. A
It's
precursor.
hard to say.
They're branches on a tree. Let's put it that way.
That's how I would probably describe it as well.
Because where I'm going with this is that if you take the 1950s, right, and you take that doo-wop music, I mean, you have rock and roll. I would say, would you put them in two separate, like Elvis Presley and doo-wop are two separate
totally
things,
different.
right?
To rock and roll, same years, right? Same years. They were coexisting basically, but totally different styles of music. Elvis is a solo artist, whereas doo-wop is, you know, 5 guys, 5 girls,
harmonies,
singing in harmony, you know. And again, the message in those songs, a lot of them's the same. What is it singing about? Love songs, whatever. But totally different vibe.
But I'm fascinated by what he's doing for this sense. Like, I thought of this recently. It's kind of funny sometimes things come
Love
up.
Elvis too, by the way.
Like, I remember. So if you took around the time you were born, right? So if you take doo-wop is the music of people who graduated high school in the 50s.
Right.
That was their high school years, right?
Correct.
So those people were probably the silent generation born before the war,
Yes.
right? In the 30s, right?
Right.
And
My grandfather was born in 45.
that's kind of late for doo-wop.
Yeah, well, he's 80 years old, so he was, I guess, you know, in the mid 50s. He was 10 years old, you know. So
probably have your older
he was
siblings
a
in the
kid,
house,
really
yeah.
enjoying it too, you know.
But the thing I've been wondering about is, so if you spent summers anywhere,
Right.
I mean, I can only speak for the New York metro area because that's where I'm from.
Correct.
In those 90s, right,
Right.
the 1990s, where these people, like, in there's, if you take the ones in the 60s, who are the people in the 60s at that time, they're born in the 30s, they graduated
Right.
high school in the 50s. So this doo-wop was everywhere. There were
Right.
doo-wop shows everywhere because that was their music. And they were at the stage of life that they would take their grandchildren and
Right.
take a beach chair and go to the park and they'd have a summer concert, right?
Exactly.
But
Remember
as-
they'd have all those commercials for like the doo-wop collection of
100%.
cassettes, like,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
rolling, right?
First cassette was 10
Right,
cents
right,
and
exactly,
$1.
yeah.
And if you take like that music, right? And shucks, what was I going? Oh, so if you take like that music, if you ask them like in the 1980s, right?
Right.
If you took a CBS 101 FM, which would be the oldie station for people not from here, for New
Yeah,
York.
back in the day, yeah.
That back in the day, that was doo-wop music.
Correct.
Right? Now Debbie Gibson's there.
No,
Right? Now my
yeah,
music
right,
is there,
no,
right?
Right.
And that
Which
just
I
happens.
also love, by the way.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
The greatest
But,
of all time. But
you
what
know.
I'm trying to say is that my fear has been, not fear, but it's like no one's playing ragtime anymore.
Right,
Because that generation, like the World War I people must have got together in the 50s. Let's go here. Like,
Right, yeah.
Right.
But my thing is, I often wondered if doo-wop was going to go into obscurity
Right.
because the people who grew up with it are eventually not going to be here.
Correct.
But now this really blows my mind because you're taking that mantle on.
Yes.
Right? So now it's like, how do you, when you sing doo-wop, right? And there was a lot of Italian Americans in doo-wop, right? That was in the genres when we started to really play a part in the whole American experience. Do you find audiences your age? Do you find significant enough numbers of people your age in an audience
Well, it's interesting.
that you could
yeah.
say that this has got another generation that are doo-wop fans?
You know, that's a great question. It's a hard one to answer. You know, and one thing I do want to point out though, as much as I sing I do sing doo-wop and rock and roll and the crooner stuff. I kind of sing all the music from that era. It's hard for me as a solo singer to call myself just a crooner, just a rock and roller, or just a doo-wop singer. I'd say if I had to choose one genre over all the others, I would call myself a contemporary crooner. But I kind of throw in doo-wop and rock and roll as well, because I do mostly sing songs that are standards that you would have heard.
But you're keeping that going.
But I'm keeping that whole era of going, and that's really my mission. And if you want to ask what my mission is or what my brand is, it's really to carry the torch of that what I consider to be timeless music. And like you are just touching upon, a big part of not just Italian American history, but American history. So that's really my mission, to carry the torch of that music to the next generation. As far as how this generation perceives it, as a high school teacher and as someone who's fortunate enough to perform for audiences of all ages, I just think that the biggest problem is that the youth of today, not enough of them are exposed to it. But when they hear it, they dig it.
Yeah.
Not every kid is blessed enough, to be born listening to Louis Prima or to listening to, like I said, Dion and the Belmonts, or all these other groups that it's a part of me because I grew up with it, and I'm so grateful for that upbringing. But people from other backgrounds, other ethnicities, they might not be familiar with this style of music if they weren't exposed to it at a young age. But people like my students, once they hear it, they're like, I never heard this music before, or oh, I remember seeing that, hearing that song in one of those mobster movies. That's the association that they make with it. But my mission is to really, make it more relevant on a cultural level for people of all ages. And that's why I try and make it cool. I try and make it hip, and I try and pay homage to the original artists. Number one, because there's never going to be another one of these guys. There's never going to be another one of these guys. But if I could put my own stamp on these songs and sing them my way in a way that hopefully resonates with today's youth and keeps it going just a little bit longer, then I'll feel like I'm doing what I intended to do as an artist.
What does that mean? Because you've never been on before, like you're not familiar, but I'm musically ignorant.
No, that's totally fine.
I really am, right?
Please,
and I went in
man.
my 40s. People gonna turn me off when I says I went in my 40s for music school.
Okay.
My mid 40s, because I said that's one thing I'd never.
Where'd
got
you go?
in life. I went for mandolin lessons.
Get out of here!
And
That's
after
awesome.
6
I love
lessons,
that.
the guy told me don't come back.
It wasn't Ernie down the block, was it?
No. I'm always fascinated by music because I don't get it, right?
Right.
And the guy's plucking on this mandolin, and to me it all sounds the same, right?
Right.
So when you say, correct me if I misstate this. When you say you're tweaking this for people your age, right?
Right.
Kids born in the mid '90s.
Correct.
Right? I'll put them in your category.
Sure.
What does that mean? So my thing is like, are you changing it? Or you
Great
what do you?
question.
What does that mean?
That's a great question. Well, first of all, I think that's important that people my age and younger see somebody my age or younger performing this style of music. That in itself is a big deal, and it shows them let's be real. As much respect as I have for all the pioneers, the artists that I'm friends with, like you said before, this music really appeals to the people who grew up with it or performed it, and they're of an older age. There's not too many people like me, like Sal Valentinetti, like Vanessa Racci, right, singing these songs who are keeping it alive in a younger demographic. So just being a younger guy, a younger dude singing that music, I think is very important. And I like to think that I do it in a way that is not super stiff or outdated. And how do you do that? Well, you freshen up the arrangements a little bit, right? That's a big thing. Some of these songs with the arrangements that they were created in, they have a distinct sound of that era, right? The orchestration, right? So, and I'm going to keep referring to Sal because he's a good buddy of mine. But if you listen to some of his records, or Harry Connick Jr., or even, of course, Michael Bublé, one of my greatest, inspirations of today. They kind of dust off the cobwebs of some of these classic songs from the Great American Songbook, and they make them their own with the help of great arrangers and composers, of course. But that is the biggest thing. Mixing up the sound of the band's arrangement, the vocal styling, right, having a little bit more of a contemporary sound, and honestly, just picking the songs that might be familiar to today's audience. Like, for example, a song like Beyond the Sea by my favorite singer, Bobby Darin, right? If I
Could have
asked,
been Mr. Connie Francis.
right here,
That
exactly.
right now.
Could have been. That's a whole nother story,
That's a whole
right?
nother story.
And a
we got
beautiful one.
Yeah, and a beautiful one. We'll talk more about my love for Bobby Darin in a little bit, because I have some exciting stuff to share about my connection with him soon. But if you take a song like Beyond the Sea, and you play it for half of my class of 14 to 18-year-olds, because one thing I didn't share before is that I teach seniors as well. I teach
beautiful.
first half of the year is government, the second half of the year is economics.
God bless.
But if you take all my students, thank you, and you play Beyond the Sea for them, I'd say maybe about half of them know that song. And how do you think they know it?
Their grandparents?
Maybe a couple of them from their grandparents, but they probably know it because it was in Finding Nemo.
Wow. Holy cow. I see how that's way
I
above
I
my
don't even know
head.
who Finding Nemo is.
Yeah,
Who's
Finding
Finding Nemo?
Nemo.
It's a Disney movie?
Disney movie.
Yeah, a Disney movie, Disney Pixar, I think. Animated film.
But that
The little-
shows how
the little
important it is to
clownfish.
keep this stuff
Yeah.
relevant.
It is. Unless they're Phantom Mob movies, then
Then they get a
Goodfellas,
lot of
then
it, I'm sure.
They get a lot of it, maybe. Hear it in Goodfellas or Bronx Tale.
But
Some
if
of
you,
the stuff
if
I
you,
sing.
do you take Renzo Arabelli, right? He was an Italian jazz performer.
Right.
He's old now. I would
Yeah.
say he's gotten older, but he took in the early '90s,
Mm-hmm.
right? He took all these Neapolitan classics because I think he went to law school. He's from
Right.
somewhere in Puglia. I think he's from Foggia, somewhere
he
in
really? I
Foggia.
didn't know
Yeah,
that.
he went to law school in Naples. He used to hang out in Neapolitan jazz clubs from this, what I can remember. And he said, "I'm ditching law, Mom. I'm becoming a musician, right?" But he's big enough that he's a household name in Italy still. And I think that the greatest thing that he did was he took Neapolitan music.
Which I
Some
love.
of it's from the 1880s,
Right.
and he does an album. He does 3 albums,
Uh-huh.
maybe even 4, depending on how you count, in the 90s, where he. And I'm going to say this incorrectly, so I'm afraid to say it, but I don't want to say
yeah.
he modernizes. He does what you do, right?
Right.
He takes an 1880s song
Yeah.
and he treats it in the 90s, and it was a blockbuster. It was
Right,
phenomenal.
right.
I came to see him in Radio City, and he took Neapolitan music and he gave it a new life because those songs.
Right.
He presented to like a 1990s audience, and he
Absolutely.
did them all a little differently. So
Well,
they-
you
they're
mentioned
not-
in the 90s. I don't mean to interrupt you, but someone just popped into my head who's a good friend of mine. Just look at Angelo Venuto,
Yes,
right? Like what
exactly.
he does
Yeah, correct.
with his songs.
Yeah.
Those are great dance hits
But
from
this is
the
not-
90s
this
and,
is not a-
Italian
Are you
songs.
saying the 90s are in the? Are you
the
putting
oldies
that in
station
oldies?
now, pal.
Listen, no, I'm not saying that.
We're our
Oh,
music's on oldies.
your day's gonna come.
You're
kid.
talking to somebody who sings music from the 20s sometimes, you know?
That's not
rough.
terribly.
I'm in the oldies category.
Come on
I don't
now.
know.
Like it's underneath
awesome.
popular music is always that reinvention and renovation, right? Like
Yes.
I think you're talking about Connie Francis. Like Who's Sorry Now was
Right.
if you listen to the original Who's Sorry Now, it's one of those plucky jazz, recordings from I think the 20s, right?
Yeah.
And she made it her own, and
Right.
I
Do you
feel-
know,
Beyond- well,
the
Beyond the
story
Sea.
behind that? Who's sorry now?
yeah, the father.
Her
founded it,
father
right?
was
Yes.
I guess he was a World War I vet. Was like this was a big hit.
Yes.
Yes.
And she was like, "This is crazy.
Yep,
It's
yep.
like Dad's
That's
song."
my point.
Yeah, that's
Right?
that. He shoved
Elvis.
he
One of
pushed
Elvis's
her on
first
that,
major
and-
hits was a country imagining. I think.
Can I just say one
This is
thing?
normal.
That's All Right Mama, I believe. Too.
Yeah, maybe.
I think "Who's Sorry Now" is the quintessential Italian American song.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it is.
It's a spite.
That's a
Now
spite
you
song.
suffer. Now you suffer, right?
true, I didn't think
If
about
we could
that.
have an anthem,
That's
yes.
right.
yes.
I always say maybe it's Che La Luna, maybe it's.
I've got to be honest with you.
Some
Some of those I refer to them as like revenge songs, are some of my favorite to sing.
our people, of course
And
it is.
like songs like "Who's Sorry Now," but some of the ones that I do, just off the top of my head, there's a great song called "Some of These Days" that was performed originally by Sophie Tucker, the early 20th
Some of These
century.
Days, right,
Some
that-
of these
yeah.
days, yeah. Bobby Darin did it, of course. Some other great singers. "After You've Gone," I love those songs,
What's
man.
your signature song?
My signature song?
Yeah, if you like, you said, if you said,
That's such a hard question to answer, but I think the song that is the most requested for me, and we've mentioned him a couple of times, and we could talk more about him. I have no shortage of things to say about my love for Bobby Darin, but probably the song people request the most is "Mac the Knife."
Really?
For me, which is a classic song.
Wow.
Sometimes you see people butchering it at karaoke.
Yeah, it's an easy song to butcher. Really, it's a tough song. Actually.
It is a tough song. It's got the half-step modulations. Just keeps going up and
Yeah.
up and up, and it's very wordy.
Yeah.
Did you have professional training? Like, did you go to school to sing?
Yes, good question. So, ever since I was a kid, I was doing this, But my parents, they got me some voice lessons as a kid. then when I got to middle school and I joined the chorus, I was the kid in all the shows in elementary school. I loved it. I was singing The Wizard of Oz in the house, singing my doo-wop, right? Singing my, Sinatra, everything in the house. And I just loved it. Then I got to middle school, I joined the choir, and I was the only guy in the choir. And I was looking around, there was all these girls. And what would we think? What would we think? Well, you would think that it would be fantastic, right? But when you're 10, 11 years old,
that's right.
It's like your friends are bullying you.
Yeah.
You don't know. Maybe this isn't cool.
Sure.
All my friends got their earrings, their Jordans, and they're playing baseball.
Yeah.
And I'm singing.
And you learned to tie a bow tie.
So
yeah.
it was the stupidest thing I ever did. But I actually quit and left the chorus in middle school, and I didn't sing again until I was in high school. I thought I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. Loved
You'd be
sports,
good at that, yeah.
And I loved sports, played all my life growing up, baseball and soccer. I still have a deep love for sports, and I
Who are
always
your
sing.
teams?
Oh, don't hurt me now, but I am, it's a little weird. I am a Mets-Giants fan.
I'm a Yankee Jets.
Rangers, too,
Yeah,
I'll go for. We got Nicky in the back.
Nicky's
he's
a Mets
excited.
guy, yeah.
LFGM, Nicky, right? But I sing the national anthem for the Mets, the Yankees, and have performed for all of the other teams. Remind me your question, because I'm getting off
Because you're going
topic.
backwards. No, you're saying we're going to go into sports broadcasting, but you went back in high school.
Oh, yeah. So you asked about my training, if I had any formal training.
Yeah.
So when I got to high school, finally I had a music teacher. I needed a music credit. They threw me in chorus, and they said, "We hear you could sing." Who did they hear it from? My father.
Oh,
He goes, "You could put him in the chorus, but don't tell him I told you."
That's good. God bless you. That's a good dad.
They put me back in the choir. The assistant principal, David Lamort, God rest his soul, and Joanne Nolemi from Tottenville High School, put me back in chorus. I took voice lessons for a little while with a great woman named Laura Monaco from ET Studios on Staten Island. And I knew I needed some real formal training from like an opera singer, someone who maybe sang at the Met. I started taking voice lessons with a woman named Janet Pranchke. I love her to death. She is an old school, like real deal opera singer, and she whipped me into shape real good.
Yeah.
I couldn't read a lick of music as a junior in high school, but when I was in that chorus, I was doing my best to read music. I was really struggling, but I took voice lessons. Janet, she started teaching me how to read music. I started really learning about like the biology of the voice, of the vocal cords.
It's athletics, really.
It's very
Singing is a
athletic,
sport.
very physical. And I, as a kid, you open your mouth, you have the emotion, the passion for the music, and you sing, and you do it. But she really taught me how to sing like a classical singer.
Yeah.
So I'm classically trained. I studied opera, and that experience in high school actually led me to go to Wagner College to study music as well as education. I did learn how to read music. I actually, even sang in a couple of contemporary operas. And so I was very into the classical music scene. I took music theory, and I really, that became such a big part of my training, really. And it started a little bit later than it probably should have, because I took that time off. But that classical training has been the greatest foundation for any style of music that I've ever sang, including the Sinatra, the Great American
that's
Songbook.
such an Italian response.
You think so?
Yeah, because it's just like artist painting.
Explain.
Because there's another friend of mine I want to bring on the show who classically trained as an artist.
Okay.
Like he went to Italy and he went to art school and they had models. Like,
Right.
he learned the way that they learned back in the Baroque period, right? And he gets it because he understands like the building blocks.
Yes, the
right?
foundations.
The foundations.
Yes.
And like whenever I have an art question, like I'll text him and I'll say to him like, is this well done or not well done? Or like when we're doing stuff for the order. And he knows because he went to
Absolutely.
school for it. And
For sure.
it's like starting out in kindergarten. Like you have to start your ABCs and tying your
Yes.
shoes. And I guess music, it's the same way. Like if you take,
Absolutely.
I have a friend of mine. She's a master tailor. If you call her seamstress, you get in trouble. I don't know the difference, but get in trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
And she went to like the Harvard of tailoring.
Okay.
And she had a professor who was from Italy, who said that in Italy you start the trades at 14. Back in the old days,
Right.
You graduated
Yeah.
and you. And
Apprentice.
he's apprentice, and he said he worked on buttons for a year,
Wow.
sewing buttons. And his idea was you have to do
That's a
buttons for a
master
year.
tailor, right?
He's
Yeah.
a master tailor, and he was like.
Started off-
But then,
started off as
wait,
a-
but when you try to fix a button, right? Because like on the road, you do business. I used to wear suits every day. I've learned this now because Google will show you. Like, there's a multitude of ways to put on a button depends on what kind of button it is, where it's going to be used, what's the garment, what's the fabric. Brass button, forget about it. It's like it's like Boy Scout knots all over again. So yeah, these things, same thing with music. I mean, look, we did the Christmas album as a fun thing to create an Italian American Christmas playlist.
Right.
I think we all saw it's really, really difficult. You think, even if you're a person who's naturally inclined to sing or carry a tune.
It was all your headache.
I know.
I came in, I left.
Yeah.
See, people don't realize I feel all the headaches on you. It's John's headache.
But
it
I
was
mean,
tough.
You were in the booth singing, right? Like,
Yeah, correct.
somebody says like, "Oh, do it this way." I go, "What does that even mean?"
It was stressful.
It's very stressful.
Because the other thing is these musicians all know the same language.
Yes.
They're like, blah, 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 they
Yeah.
all understand each other, and they look at
Right.
us,
Like when
and
you
I'm
come
like,
in
I
a
don't
different
go,
key, I
"Shut
go,
up."
"What's your
It's a
key?"
key.
I don't know
Right,
key.
right.
What's a key? Key means nothing to me. I
Right.
know a piano has a keys. I have no idea what
Well,
that.
listen, if I didn't go to school for it,
Right.
and I got really thrown into it a little bit later than, like I said, and I should
that's
have.
life.
But thankfully, I was a quick learner. I was
Yeah.
passionate, and I was hungry.
Yeah.
And I really learned a lot in a short amount of time.
But you got to have that in you.
Yes. No, it wasn't me.
You can't. I've come to the stage in my life to the belief that you got to be born with certain gifts.
I agree.
Does this run in your family? Are there singers in your family?
So interestingly enough, and I get that question a lot. Nobody in my immediate family, I have one older brother. He's a police officer in NYPD.
God bless
my
him.
two parents, thank you for that. My two parents, not singers, but my mother told me only like within the last year or two. She said my great grandpa John, who like I
Her
said,
grandfather.
her grandfather, my great grandfather, who I was fortunate enough to know and grow up with. He passed away when I was maybe 7, 8 years old, but we grew up in the same house. 4 generations in that house in Brooklyn.
That's the best.
He was a barber. My great grandmother, seamstress, came through Ellis Island, the whole thing. Saved up money to buy that house in Borough Park. And my grandmother told me just recently, when he opened up his own barbershop, he would sing in the barbershop while he was cutting hair. And that when he would go to the bar, all the guys would force him to sing.
That's
and he was a pretty
wonderful.
shy guy, but they really loved his voice and said that he had a nice rich tone to his voice. So maybe it's in the bloodline somewhere.
That's
but
so funny. You should bring that
Yeah.
up.
That's very Italian
that's
to me,
such
though.
a- such an
You could be like,
Italian-
you could develop the power to fly, and like 6 years later, your grandmother would be like, "No, Uncle Johnny flew." Like they don't tell you
It's
nothing.
one of
That's like
those
they
things.
hold that back. Yeah, it's amazing.
one of those
yeah.
things. But no one in my immediate family. Like it's not like my mother sang and she
Right.
forced me to sing for an hour. It was just inside of me.
It's
Since
in
I
you,
was a
it's who
kid.
you are.
I knew a guy, and it's so funny you should bring that story up because he's gone about 12 years. He'd be close to 100 now. I knew an
Who's that?
Italian guy in North Arlington who was a friend of mine. I used to go to the gym with him. He was in his 80s going to the gym, hitting on women.
I
right?
love it. That's great. Legend.
His name was Mike the Barber.
Okay.
And Mike's grandfather in Italy, in Molise, was an organist, a church organist. And Mike wanted to be an opera singer. And Mike loved opera singer, and he had the talent. So his family cobbled together the money to send him to, I guess, a singing school. What do you call that? Like
A conservatory.
Conservatory, right.
in Milan.
Wow.
And he realized his parents couldn't afford it. They were breaking on it. So he screwed up, so he got kicked out, so they wouldn't lose the money. And they got all, I don't know, they smacked him, be like, "You got thrown out of school."
Right.
But he never wanted to tell them he got thrown out of school because he didn't want to keep the pressure on them financially to pay for him to go through school, the school in
Right,
Milan.
right.
So when he came to America, he was a barber. But he spent his passion was singing. I have cassettes of his. He's
Really?
through opera singing, yeah, and he was a DJ.
That's beautiful.
And he was a barber by day and he was DJ at night because he would
right.
sing. Like he would just use the DJ became almost a karaoke
Sure.
at a part.
Right,
and
right.
I used to think to myself, I was like, if he had been born in America
Right.
now, right, or when my time,
Yes.
he would have been able to pursue a singing career,
Absolutely.
right? And I think that you're saying, like your great grandfather, he might have been a famous opera
Yeah.
singer, but I could either feed my kids cutting hair,
You're
or I can be a
right.
singer.
And you know what? That's why, and not to interrupt you, but that's why I honestly am so proud of my background and where I come from. I'm born here. I'm a true Italian American. But if my grandparents never made that very brave decision to come here, and they came here pretty late. They came here in the 40s.
Yeah.
So they kind of missed that window where that mass immigration
Yeah.
from some southern Italy was coming. But if they didn't come here when they did, I could be in Italy right now,
Yeah.
struggling to pay to put food on the table for my family.
You never know.
I have some family who recently just came here from Sicily because they've had some economic
Yeah.
hardship,
Sure.
So I can't say it enough that I am so proud to have been born here.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to think about, though. I unfortunately never heard my great grandfather sing, but like my mother said, he he had some voice, and maybe that's where it comes from. I don't know.
It has to be.
But-
That stuff's genetic.
Families- yeah, it's genetic, yeah.
Let's talk about you.
Oh.
No, because everybody say all the time, you are the best. I got you on the retainer.
Oh yeah.
You're the best graphic. You are fantastically
Best free graphic artist
free. Well, no, but hold on. That's very unfair.
with
to
limited
me.
training. I have
Wait a
some.
minute.
go, all right.
I don't hire you because you're free. That's just a bonus. No, that's true. Because you
That's
know
a good
me.
condition.
If I didn't think you were good,
Yeah, you're
I'd
right.
go right
That's true.
past
You
you.
would.
I would
You
get
would
the
hire
best.
somebody. That's true. You
That's
would,
the
yeah.
seniority in me. Well,
That's true.
John, you
You're
try.
right.
But your grandfather has that in him.
And my grandmother.
And your grandmother. And if you say, okay, like you got that in you because you just see. He just sees things. I can't explain. You just like quick.
No, it's
Some
like
people have the
musicians.
eye for it, like you
You
said.
have the eye for
it's
it.
just if you're born with it,
Yeah.
you have that thing, and
Yeah.
you have that thing.
Yeah,
man.
and it's music. I mean, you have an ear for it. You can say, "Oh, let's change this modulation, this click. What if we do it this way?" And like when
Yeah.
we were doing, the album, I learned a lot.
My
because,
teachers used to tell me, I didn't even know what this meant at first, but they said, I think you have perfect pitch. I said, what does that even mean? They would name the title of a song. They said, sing it. I start right in key of whatever that song was, of the recording.
Yeah.
Or they'd play a note on the piano, and they'd say, name that note. I'd say, oh, that's a D flat.
That's just, wait, you did an impression. I won't say of who. A mutual acquaintance of ours. I'll tell you off the mic before we came on the air, and it was spot on. So you probably have an ear for impressions, right? You probably, even if you're not doing it,
yes.
That's
So I've never done any impressions
No,
on stage, but my wife, she's got a smile on her face because she always says that I'd either be a great voice actor or a great impressionist.
That's right.
Because I like to have fun.
But
I like
you
to have
understand. But you probably have very blessed ears.
Yes,
really, you're right.
I'm very blessed to have a great ear, or at least I like to think so.
It's a
It's a gift.
entrance
skill.
path.
It's a gift.
It's
God
the
bless you. Thank
foundation
God.
of the
It's a gift.
whole
It is.
computer system to become a singer, right?
I mean, it
Is-
helps me learn songs.
Absolutely.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
For sure.
And especially if you want to, change them. You're talking about the obstacles for some of the older generation to success, and then you think about what it used to be like when you had to get on the radio. Nowadays, so much has been disintermediated. I mean, look, with the fact that we can do this show on our own, right? We're not on a network,
Sure,
right? Here we
sure.
are.
Right,
we can
right.
put it together and blah, 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 blah. And it's similar for a lot of musicians, right? This thing's going to go out on podcast networks, every podcast platform, and YouTube. And on YouTube, you find so many incredibly talented singers. And some of them, I used to think to myself, well, why aren't they signed? And then you think to yourself, nowadays, because you don't need to be anymore, right? Because
Right.
the money you make, I mean, we see the pennies. This I want to announce right now, by the way, we're recording this, birthday's March 31st, 2025.
Yes.
We released our album the beginning of December for the Christmas season. It's gone over like 1 million streams,
Wow.
right? For
That's
these
awesome. Congrats,
yeah,
guys. That's
imagine
great.
that. 1.3 million.
And I was almost on it too.
Yeah, I know. Well,
We'll have
next
to
year,
make
we're going to do it
a-
again.
We're gonna have to make it a bonus track or something.
But my point is, you make no money, right? You make zero money. from it.
Correct,
So like,
correct.
it's
Right.
it's nowadays the control's in your hand as an artist. It's a
Correct.
totally different path to how you define success and how you reach it. But one of the things that I think a lot of people,
I think that's for everything in life.
yes,
by the
it is
way.
for everything. It's
know?
everything's been disintermediated.
Mhm.
I agree with that. But I think one of the things that people kind of now lean on is these talent shows, and
Yes.
you are fresh off of an experience
Yes.
on one of them, and I'll just say it this way: the way you explained it to me was a little peculiar. So why don't you tell the audience about your very peculiar experience with one of America's more popular
Right.
talent competitions?
So this is actually the first time I'm permitted to speak about my experience. But for those viewers who might not know, or who've never seen me or heard me perform before, or who don't follow me, I recently had the opportunity to be a contestant on American Idol during the 23rd season. And I had the opportunity.
That made me feel old. Keep going.
Yeah, I know. You probably remember.
That's hard. Yes.
Simon,
I remember the first
Paula,
time.
and
Yeah, of
Randy,
course.
right?
Keep going.
And I'm sure we all remember when it felt like the whole country was watching,
absolutely.
glued in front of their
Yeah.
screens when Carrie Underwood won.
No, that wasn't the first one.
contest. No, it wasn't. She was the fourth season.
Yeah, my gosh. Yeah.
But one of the earlier seasons.
absolutely.
And she was actually one of the judges this season.
Oh, my gosh.
They brought her back. Katy Perry left the show. So it was Carrie Underwood, Luke Bryan, excuse me, Lionel Richie, and of course Ryan Seacrest is still there as the host.
The
keeping
new
it
Dick
all
Clark.
together.
That guy just does everything.
And,
that man must never sleep.
Yeah, oh yeah, man. He's a hustler. He
God
does
bless
the game
him.
shows.
Yeah, he
too.
does everything.
He does it all. Really, really nice
Guy's
guy.
got to work.
And yeah, so I was lucky enough to be on the show this season. It was truly an incredible experience. Super, super surreal. And I'll be completely honest with you, how the whole thing kind of started, it was very organic. Like, I didn't submit the application online. As much as I loved the show growing up, for whatever reason, I never applied to be on really any of these singing competition shows, you know?
Because there's a million of them now.
There's a lot of them now. Back in the day, I felt like it was only just Idol. Then you heard about AGT,
America's Got Talent,
The Voice.
Yeah.
Back then, I don't even know, X Factor.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
There's been quite a few that have
Yeah.
came and went. But Idols has withstood the test
Yeah.
of time, you know, and everybody, it's like a household
Yeah.
name, that show. So my friend Laura, who I took voice lessons with as a teenager, she calls me up. She goes, Charlie, she goes, how old are you now? I go, it's been a while since we spoke. I go, I'm 28. Why do you ask? She goes, perfect. She goes, this is your last chance. I go, last chance for what? She goes, I'm submitting you to casting of American Idol. So I go, Laura, that sounds great. And now, I mean, the opportunity sounds awesome. But, you know, I'm a teacher during the day. Like, even if this works out the way I hope it would, I don't know. I can't be getting time off to go and travel around the country and, you know, for extended periods of time at least. I do my gigs around the country where I travel, you know, 1 or 2 shows during the week. But this would take a big commitment,
chunk,
you know,
sure.
a big chunk of time that I don't know if I can give. She goes, I'm going to submit you to casting, see what happens. They'll reach out if they're interested. Okay, what do I got to lose?
Yeah.
I get a call. Hey, this is so-and-so from American Idol. We've been checking you out. Laura recommended you to us. We're really interested in meeting you. So I do a couple of different rounds of Zoom auditions. That's how it works now. They kind of vet everything off Zoom. And, you know, I'm doing my thing, doing my crooning, answering all their questions. And before you know it, after this pretty long process, they say, congratulations, you're going to be singing in front of the celebrity judges, Luke, Carrie, and Lionel, on the 23rd season of American Idol. And I was super ecstatic, and my wife was super excited. And I was like, wow, you know, as blessed and content as I am with how my life is, with 2 careers that I love, and I just, honestly, I feel grateful and blessed to wake up every day and to get paid to do what I love to do in both
Amen.
in both careers,
Yeah.
you know? So this, I was looking at it like, this is just going to be, you know, this could just take things to a level that I never even could dream of.
Yeah, it's all gravy, right?
It's all
You're
gravy.
playing with house money at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is all gravy. Why would I not do this? You know, so super excited. We go to Manhattan, right next to Madison Square Garden, and oh my God, what a surreal experience it was. I'm being interviewed by Ryan Seacrest. There's a million cameras everywhere. You know, I walk in the room, I'm standing on the X, and there they are, the 3 judges. A million cameras on me. And I'm nervous as all hell, if I'm being honest
Sure,
with you.
of course, yeah.
And, you know, like I said, I sing the anthem at these ballparks, 50, 60,000 people sometimes. I go out there, it's no big deal. This, man, when you're looking at them in the face, and I have such respect for these artists and what they accomplish. I listen to their records when I'm in the car. I got Luke Bryan's party songs playing. You know, Lionel Richie's a legend. He's worked with everybody.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, everybody.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't believe that I had that opportunity, and that someone was giving a crooner, someone who sings music from a bygone era, that platform. I was like, wow, this could be the way I really achieve that mission of making this music, you know, remembered and appreciated by today's generation. So I was like, this is going to be awesome. So what happens? They asked me to sing 2 songs. The first song I sang, of course, by this guy right here, was That's Life by Frank Sinatra.
My anthem.
I had a couple other songs that I was thinking of, but the publishers, they didn't approve them. So ultimately I decided, let me go with a classic by Frank, That's Life, one of your favorites.
It's the greatest song
One
ever.
of mine. It's always a big hit. So hopefully that'll win them over. You know, it's got a nice big ending. I did that, and they loved it. They really did, man. And the things that they were saying, the feedback that those 3 judges, I couldn't even believe. I almost like when someone's talking to you, but it sounds like the teacher from Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. It was like an out of body experience, you know. They were saying things along the lines of like, "You're going to be the one who keeps this music alive.
Oh man,
you'll be the next Bublé," and I just couldn't believe that I was in the position that I was in, and they were like, but this is American Idol, of course, and it is a show where we mostly have contemporary singers, a lot of pop singers, country singers. Do you have anything else in your arsenal? Can you show some versatility? And I said, actually, for quite a few years I was in a wedding band, and I didn't even share this with you guys before we started here. But as much as I do love singing the music of the past, I love music of all eras. We talked a little about classic rock. I love music from all generations, and I do, from time to time, sing some more contemporary stuff as well. So I said, right to the judges, I said, Luke Bryan, at these weddings, towards the end of the night, after a couple people have some drinks in them, they ask for some country, and I actually do sing some of your songs every now and then. He's like, would you sing us one? So I sang a song called Do I, which is a ballad that Luke Bryan had his first big hit with. I love the song. It's one of those breakup songs. So I'm a sentimental guy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I go in there. I do my best. Charlie Romo does Luke Bryan. I had to get rid of the country twang a little bit.
Yeah.
I made it my own, which they did appreciate and acknowledge. But yeah, the feedback was just so great. They said they saw so much potential in me. And ultimately, how did it go? I did get the golden ticket, and I did go to Hollywood.
Now, explain to the audience, the golden ticket is you basically like you're in, and
yes,
you're coming with us on the show.
So the way the way that I was informed is that 50,000 people apply to be on the show each year.
Wow.
They said it was 48,000 and change.
That's an incredible number.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a baseball stadium.
Right.
Actually, nowadays
I was
it's
like,
bigger.
wow, how do they even go through all of those applications?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I don't know how they do it. Kudos to the producers, the staff. It's obviously this is a major production.
Operation. Yeah,
it's a major operation. So from that 48,000, I don't know how many people actually make it past those Zoom auditions that get in front of the judges, but I was lucky enough to be one of them, and an even smaller percentage of the people who get put in front of those judges get the golden ticket to actually be flown out to Hollywood to be really in it.
Right.
Really in it.
On the show.
Officially on the show, and you have to go through Hollywood Week, which is basically a very intense week of rehearsing, of very little sleep. It's very collaboration with strangers.
Yeah,
really,
it's amazing,
other artists. But I have to say, the entire experience was honestly fantastic and super surreal. And I met so many incredible artists from all over the country, people from all walks of life that, people from little farm towns that I probably will never visit in my lifetime. And I didn't expect to like any of these people, but I fell in love with all of them.
Yeah.
You
really
share
did.
Music.
Yes.
That's
yes.
You have a passion
That's
even your backgrounds are different. You share that.
Totally. And we had a shared experience too, all being put under the same pressures, the same stresses, and all having the same dream of just advancing one step closer to living our dream, really, of making performing being our life, or getting our music out there, our song. So, and obviously nobody there, myself included, has ever been on a stage this grand, or has had an opportunity with that much weight behind it, So it really was an incredible experience. But unfortunately, because there's always a but, right? And unfortunately, although I did get the golden ticket to go to Hollywood, unfortunately, not every contestant can be aired. And I was just informed, literally, a couple of days ago, that unfortunately I'm one of the unlucky contestants, the unlucky hopefuls whose audition and journey, even in Hollywood, that's not going to be aired. So of course I'm disappointed. I had a lot of people rooting for me, and honestly, that's something I'll never forget, because my entire school, my students, my colleagues, who were asking me every week, looking forward to seeing me. Unfortunately, I had to break some hearts, but I've never felt more love from the people in my life, from my colleagues, my students, my family, friends, people who are just fans who've seen me perform, than I have within these last couple of months of people being excited, knowing that I was, going to be on this show, that I was a contestant on this show. So, I'd be lying to you if I say I wasn't disappointed that the rest of the country is not going to see how it went, to see how that how magical that audition was, but nobody really knows what goes on behind the scenes. It's the producer's call of what they want to air, and I'm not going to let it deter me. I'm just going to keep moving forward and keep making my people proud, and do my best. The best is yet to come. But I am really grateful for the opportunity and the experience, and I wouldn't change a thing about how I represented myself or the songs that I sang. I was authentically myself, and I'm also really happy for the people who are getting aired and are getting that platform, because, like I said, I made such good friends with them, and there's so much talent out there. And there's so many people with big dreams, I'm very blessed. I get paid to do this already, Some of these people don't.
Sure.
And I hope that whatever comes of this show for these people, it's everything that they could ever want and more,
It's funny, coming in, I think I said in the introduction, I hear so many nice things about you.
Thank you.
And that's just not just your talent, which you hear about, obviously, but your person.
Thank you.
And when you told me off mic that you were not going to be on the show, I was angry on your behalf as an Italian American, right? As somebody who likes this kind of music and has heard such nice things about you. And hearing you describe it, it's hard for me to... I thought to myself, okay, let me muster the anger for the audience to see, maybe we can energize some people. This is anti-Italianism. But you're so peaceful and humble about it.
Yeah,
and so,
thank you for that.
Yeah, really well adjusted, and you could tell when a person comes from a place of real inner peace, and you have that, and I love that and admire it, and I root harder for you because of it, because you really, I can see the best is yet to come for you, that's for sure. And like you said, you've got a beautiful wife, got a beautiful family, you've got a roof over your head and jobs you love. Who's better than you, right?
Well, that's the way I look at it, man. You said it better than anybody. I have it better than most people in the
Amen.
world.
Yes, that's right.
And I never lose sight of that.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that me and my beautiful wife talk about all the time. And I said it towards the beginning, but I try and live every day with gratitude.
Yeah.
And one word that I know we're not supposed to curse, but she wants to kick my ass all the time from using this word, because she hears it all the time and she knows what I'm going to say. The word, and she's going like this behind the camera, the word is perspective.
Yeah.
And I try and have a balanced perspective on
You're damn right.
on everything in life. Good, bad, ugly, disappointing. Listen, this is the biggest disappointment. And God willing, and God,
you never
thank
know.
God that this is the biggest disappointment I've had to experience
you
in
never
life.
know.
Right?
You never know. Look at Frank McCoy. I talk about Frank McCoy all the time. Angela's Ashes, right? Who wrote Angela's Ashes?
Wait, he's too young for that, I bet. You know
Come
Angela's
on.
Ashes?
Huh?
I don't.
You
I'm
want
not
to make me
gonna
sit
lie.
down?
I'm not going to BS you.
I just said I knew he didn't know. But
I'm not going to BS you. I'm
a
sorry.
seminal piece of Irish literature, right?
Oh, okay.
It was
That
in the
became
United States.
international.
It was in
Yeah.
Queens.
Okay.
This guy leaves Ireland in the 50s, and he wants to write the great novel. He's gonna write
I
the
guess
great
I missed
novel,
that
great novel.
in my Irish history class.
No, I'm old. Antique, but
No, but keep going, because
he's very frustrated because he wants to be a player, all this stuff, like, and he writes.
He's mad because things aren't working out the
They're
way
not
he
working
wants.
out for him the
He
way they're
wants.
working out, and then
Right.
I think he was 64, and he wrote the book Angela's Ashes. I mean, it was a major motion
Better not
picture.
take that long, Pat. I'm telling you.
But
now.
but I say what people all the time is like he could
wait, but closer to home. Look at to me, which I haven't watched the Netflix series. I hope everybody out there is going to watch it. We got to do an episode one day watching it, recapping the universally accepted greatest piece of literature of the 20th century in the Italian language is Il Gattopardo,
Yes.
the leopard.
I know.
And Giuseppe Tomasi di Lampedusa died before it was published. He lived his whole life wanting to write this novel.
Right.
And it was published from his papers posthumously. And it's the greatest. So, like, you know,
Right.
what's supposed to happen.
Well,
Listen,
it's not-
let's hope that
Yeah,
this
no, I mean,
doesn't all work out
And
after
I'm
I'm
bringing the
6
demo
feet
tape
under, all
up.
right?
Yeah, but I mean, you
Come
know.
on now. No, but the
will be there
point,
before you,
like you said, is that I really don't lose sight of the great things that I have in life.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, I have two careers that I truly love and I'm passionate about. When I walk into that school building every day, as crazy as it sounds, and other teachers might not agree all the time, I look forward to it.
Sure.
I love those kids. I really do.
Well, you talk about the admiration
That's a
for your-
vocation.
That's a vocation.
That's
It is a vocation.
But you talk about the admiration for your grandparents who came here,
Yes.
right? I always say that's our secret superpower. It's like if you took away everything we have, and we could go back to that tenement house, the railroad that you were born in, you were born, and no, you could have. My dad always says, used to be before the economy really took a dive. You know, for $2, you can make a bowl of Basta Fazool to feed a whole family, right? So, like, what else is there? You have a family that loves you. So, what risk is a relative thing when failure is going back to that table with those people who love you and eating Basta Fazool. So,
absolutely,
you seem like that's the perspective you bring.
That's the perspective I have, and everything else in life is gravy. I get paid to make people happy doing what I love to do in 2 different ways. Yeah. So anything else is is it gravy or is it sauce? I like that one. Is it gravy or is it sauce?
So what is coming for you? You said the best is yet to come. What's coming up for you? Because you were talking about Bobby Darin a little bit.
Yeah, so I only mentioned Bobby Darin because I'm working on a pretty cool project out in Long Island where we're hopefully to commemorate Bobby Darin's birthday. We're going to be doing a special exhibit at the Jazz Loft, which is one of 5 jazz museums in the United States.
Really?
That's going to be taking place in mid-May, and we're going to hopefully cap it off with a big Bobby Darin show that I'll be performing the music of Bobby Darin to.
That's awesome.
As well as many of the items that are going to be on display in the exhibit are my personally owned Bobby memorabilia. I have some really cool stuff, like stuff I probably shouldn't have that belonged to Bobby Darin.
I'm a collector, so what is your favorite piece?
There's a couple, but probably my favorite piece. There's 2 that I'll tell you that are my favorite, and they're both letters actually. One of them is a letter that he wrote to Connie Francis.
Wow.
A love letter. They exchanged a series of letters.
Wow.
Vanessa Arachi and I talk about this in our Bobby Connie show that we do together. But I do own one of those letters, so that's pretty cool. And he ends it like "Love you and miss you, Bobby," the whole thing. And the other letter is pretty cool because if you know about Bobby Darin's career, you'll know that he was a musical chameleon, and he sang in many different genres and styles, which is part of the reason I like the guy so much. Yeah. I mean, our stories are very similar, like coming from kind of humble beginnings, Italian-American background, being one of the first person to go to college in his family, always kind of felt like an underdog, and that story his story really resonates with me, as well as the fact that he sang in all different styles.
How did you get your hands on that letter?
eBay. I'm pretty sure I got it on eBay.
How the heck did it wind up on
or an
eBay?
auction? I don't remember if I got it from
eBay's
eBay
I told you,
or an auction.
We owe all of this to eBay.
But wasn't that wouldn't he?
You never know.
I saw it online somewhere. If it wasn't eBay, it was another auction house.
Connie Francis also sold a lot of her stuff. I don't know if she would have sold that, but maybe, she did sell a lot of her stuff not that long ago.
Well, what's interesting? She actually, there was a whole big article. There was a whole thing about her getting those letters back.
Really?
And for some reason, this one was still floating around years after she... I don't know if she went to purchase all the ones that she wrote him that she got back, but this is one that he wrote her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if Connie Francis is listening, I know she still says till this day that Bobby Darin is her first love.
Yeah.
Then I would be happy to get that letter back in Connie Francis's hands one way if she.
Tell her we'll trade it for an interview though.
We'll trade it for an interview. I'll trade it just to shake her hand.
Wow, what a gem.
She actually watched our show, I think, on the live stream.
I can believe it.
It was pretty cool. So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
The letter that Bobby wrote to Connie. The other cool thing is probably a letter that he wrote to his family when he sold off all his possessions, and he just took a trailer out in Big Sur, California, looking over the mountains.
Wow.
It was right after his buddy RFK was just killed.
Yeah.
Right as the Vietnam War is going on, and he was in a trailer writing protest songs.
Wow.
And it was also right after he just found out the person that he grew up believing to be his mother was actually his sister.
Right.
And the person that he believed was his mother was his grandmother.
Right.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah, the person he believed was his...
No, his sister was his mother.
The person I believed was his sister, was actually his mother.
Right.
The person he believed was his mother was actually his grandmother.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a whole letter he's writing to his family from the trailer, talking about how peaceful the mountains are, how he feels so... feels like he has the weight of 1,000 pounds lifted off his shoulders after selling off a lot of his possessions.
Yeah.
Like... your monetary stuff, watches, suits, even like some of his own personal like things that you wouldn't think he would have gotten rid of just to free himself from it, and to just really enjoy life. And of course, he was going through stuff at that time, you know. But I think that that's just such a cool piece of history and his story, and the fact that I own that is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
You know, among many other things, honestly, I have like pictures of him from when he's a child.
Wow.
Like family photos. Some of the stuff that I have belonged to his family members at some point, and I don't know how it got sold or switched hands, but somehow it ended up in my possession. A lot of it actually ended up in my possession through a Bobby Darin fan club page on Facebook, where there's a couple of thousand people, maybe 5,000-10,000 members in this Bobby Darin fan club on Facebook, and they all love me, and I'm so blessed to have their support. And you know, it's maybe 8,000 or 9,000 out of the 10,000 are old women from all over the world. One of them, I love her to death, Karen from Denmark.
Wow.
She's one of my biggest fans. And the woman who started this Facebook group, her name was Sue Cody, and she had this insane collection, right? And she passed away. And a lot of the members of the group, they were concerned about what was going to happen to some of these Bobby relics, you know? And they said they should go to someone who's young, who's going to appreciate and preserve this stuff, who loves Bobby and is not going to sell it, the stuff.
Wow.
So they got together and convinced Sue's family, and it didn't take much convincing, but they asked him if he would give her collection to me.
Wow.
So a lot of that stuff fell into my hands.
That's beautiful.
And now I'm so glad that we're going to publicly display this stuff at the Jazz Loft in Long Island, and yeah, preserve Bobby's legacy, his story, and Sue Cody as well, the stuff that
That's
she
wonderful.
Really, you know, she had an incredible collection and passion for Bobby Darin, as do I, you know. But he's definitely above all the singers, as much as I love, and I mean love, Sinatra,
Sure.
Dino, Elvis, Tony Bennett, you know.
You're the keeper of the Bobby Darin flame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I you know, I mean, I like to think so.
You got a connection.
There's a Broadway show going on right now. It
Yeah.
it just came out, actually. We're seeing it tomorrow night.
No Italians in it, I'm sure.
Maybe one or two, I don't know. But I did audition for the show. I think I could say that. I auditioned for the show. They called me back. I got a call back. I went through the whole that whole thing, but ultimately I didn't get the role. Jonathan Groff, a huge Broadway star, a guy with a huge name. He does the voice of what's his name, baby, from Frozen. Kristoff.
Oh, don't tell my daughter.
From Frozen. Yeah, he does the voice. So he's playing Bobby. And he's an extremely talented
Sure, he's great.
guy. But no, he's not a paisan, you know?
Yeah, we're the only group. Any other
But
group
he's
did
great.
that, it would be a global issue that somebody else was playing them, and it would be appropriation and this and that.
I learned a new word, cosplaying.
What?
Cosplaying.
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 Yeah.
That's what the Italians in Italy who tear us up.
Oh, they say we're
They say
cosplaying.
we're
They say we're
Italians?
cosplaying, and I didn't even know what that word meant. They had to teach me. I'm what's a cosplay.
That's pretty humorous, I'm not going to lie.
If I cosplay, it's going to be as Lord of the Rings. Listen, there's a very, very simple answer to this stuff, and it's you've got obvious passion and obvious perspective, and the best really is yet to come for you, and
Thank
that's abundantly clear. And here on your 29th birthday, take it from the Statler and Waldorf of Italian America. It comes when it comes, and it's a lot more in the hands of upstairs than it is downstairs. And
Amen.
Big things on your horizon. We could tell. We're going to unionize you and all these Italian singers anyway. Pat's going to do his normal
I love it.
his ward leadership that he does. But I'm sure we and our audience will be seeing a lot more of you in the future.
Thank you for
I hope
that.
you'll come participate, at least when we do the feast
Oh,
here.
absolutely. I
And,
would love to.
yeah, come out for your
It would be
future
an
leaders in Florida.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
we gotta get on that.
Yeah.
Can I ask you for a personal honor?
Yeah, what's
I
that?
don't know. I know you're new to the show. I have a kazoo.
Okay.
Because I was thrown out of mandolin school. I told you that story.
Right.
And I took up the kazoo because
Okay.
it's the only instrument that I'm capable of playing.
Right.
So we always
I play the
end
mouth harp, the harmonica.
Oh, do you really?
Ah.
Yeah,
Oh, we can
yeah.
start a band.
No, well,
That was
I
well. And I want to. I don't have my green, white, and red. I did not bring it in. I have multiple kazoos.
Happy
A
New
beautiful
Year,
time.
by the
It's a
way.
Happy New Year kazoo. And we always end the show with me playing the kazoo.
Oh, I love that.
And I want usually the theme from Rye Italian Television.
Okay.
But I'm so honored to be here. Can you accompany me
Oh, yeah.
on the kazoo?
Do you want me to sing? I'm
You
assuming.
could sing.
Right,
I'm gonna
right.
play the kazoo.
What are we
What
going to do?
song?
What
What could we
gonna
do? You want to do Summer Wind?
play? Oh, that's a great one. What key is this kazoo?
I don't even know what it is. What was that?
Can you follow? I don't know if this thing changes pitch
No,
or key or whatever.
it's just
it
a
just makes one sound,
buzzing.
They
right?
told me how to use it.
Okay, ready?
I go. That's it. There's no.
Summer wind.
Hold on. Please.
Ready? Here we
I got it
go.
ready.
I'm gonna get my
The summer
outro over you
wind.
guys.
But I gotta start.
Oh,
This is-
come on.
I
here, go.
gotta
Waste
get
the
it.
time out
Get into
here.
it.
Here we go.
Good luck.
There we go. The summer wind came blowing in from across the sea. I like it.
Charlie Romo, the best is yet to come, folks. Get to know him. Wonderful young man. Wonderful guest. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Sang a song, then we strolled that golden sand.
Born in Italian. If you want your life to be great, see that you're born in Italiano and your life will be great. See that you're born in Italiano